This is my baking stone, it's useful to bake better pizza. How? Why? I put it in the oven while preheating. It will absorb and store all the heat, then after I put my pizza on it, the stone will gradually release the heat, making the pizza perfectly. This is my baking steel and it's useful to bake better pizza. It also must stay in the oven during preheating, so it accumulates all the heat that will bake my pizza perfectly. So by the sound of it, it seems like the two items do the very same job, which is true in a way because the logic behind the use of either a stone or a steel is that you place your pizza on a surface that is already hot, as opposed to using a pan or tray and put that in the oven. Pizza gets a big boost from underneath. We see more oven spring and the formation of the crust and the crumb goes side by side. There's little to no risk of overcooking the crumb when you see that the crust is ready. This is the common element, but there are actually several differences, and in this video I want to highlight them together with some advantages and disadvantages. I will also give you my 2 cents here and there, and in the conclusion of the video I will tell you what I prefer. I will also bake one pizza on the stone, another one on the steel, same dough, same weight, same rising time, same everything. And I will show you the outcome so you can judge by yourself the differences, if any. Let's crack on now. Shouldn't really mention cracks when I talk about pizza stones. This is probably the bigger downside because yes, they can break when subjected to a thermal shock, that is, a sudden change in temperatures. For example, when you accidentally spill some cold beer on it, real life example. It's also true that a break is way less likely if you choose the right material for the stone. To be more precise, 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢. 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢 is thermal shock resistance, which means that you can spill the cold beer, but anyway you will never be 100% safe, so you know, always be very careful. Other baking stones are made of mullite, others of ceramic, but their conductivity doesn't usually match that of 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢. Besides, they are not thermal shock resistant, and this is relevant. I would say, if you will choose to buy a baking stone, then make sure it's made of 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢, like the one I own. One word about the thickness. The range is usually between 1 and 2 centimeters. Doesn't really matter. Just be aware that, as a rule of thumb, the thicker the stone, the longer the heating time. But on the bright side, the more heat they absorb, and the longer it takes to lose temperature. This could be useful if you plan on baking a fair amount of pizzas. So this is a consideration I leave to you and your baking habits. Let's move on to baking steel. Now, baking steel is a piece of steel, cut to size, more or less thick, sealed with oil or wax so they don't rust. They are pretty sturdy, heavy, way heavier than a stone with the same thickness because their density is higher. And this leads to the main difference, and I would say actually the main advantage for the home pizzaiolo. Steels are much more conductive than any stone. I already mentioned conductivity. Steel will push the heat into the pizza more quickly than a stone. You know, the pizza likes it hot and quick, at least the kind of pizza I mostly talk about on my channel. Steel's higher conductivity also means that the heating time is definitely shorter, as you are about to see in the more hands-on part of the video. Let's go. Okay, let's do this comparison. I'm starting with the baking stone. I turn the oven and set it to its highest temperature. Remember, I got a full video in the upper right corner with everything you need to know to make the most of your kitchen's oven. In it goes. On the highest shelf, I check the temperature of the stone after the first 30 minutes or so. But anyway, my goal is to get the stone to 300 degrees Celsius, and I will tell you how long it takes to this stone 1 centimeter thick to get to temperature. See you later. 360, not bad at all. Let's stretch pizza and bake it. Now, before I describe the outcome, please remember, that is my pizza. That is how I like it, and I am going to eat it, not you guys. Don't tell me that it's undercooked, overcooked, too soft, too crispy, too pizza, too Italian, whatever. In this video, I'm describing the tool and how it works with my dough, which is probably the one you often use. If you have been following me for a while at least, the objective elements will be the thickness of the stone, 1 centimeter, the timings and the temperatures. Look at that as a basis for comparison, and if you want different results, then you have to change the objective elements, or at least one of them. Today we bake with the steel, same position in the oven. Crank it up. I'll wait for it to get to temperature and I'll tell you how long it takes. In the meantime, give this video a nice thumbs up. Oops. Also consider that my steel is half as thick as the stone. Now, considering that the steel takes less time to get temperature, considering that it bakes more quickly, it releases the heat more quickly and allows a better overspring, so my cornicione becomes nice and puffy like this one.
Wow!
Considering that baking in a regular kitchen oven whose temperature is the average 250 degrees Celsius, maybe 260, 270 like my own. Well, all this considered, my choice for homemade pizza would be baking steel. Leave me a comment if you want me to recommend one.
However,
the more powerful your oven, the less convenient a baking steel becomes, because it can actually burn your pizza in very little time. I'm not saying you should not use a steel if you're one of those lucky people with a very powerful oven that goes above average. But for sure you will need to be way more careful. I mean, it's not coincidence if all those fancy purpose-built pizza ovens have a stone and not a steel inside it, right? Back to regular kitchen appliance anyway. If I had an oven that goes above, let's say 300 degrees Celsius, I'd go with a baking stone. And again, leave me a comment if you want me to recommend one. See you later. Ciao, 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 ciao.